My name is Andrea Kleinhens. I'm with Cleveland Peace Action, and we're here today. With this emergency press conference, which will address the deepening catastrophe in Palestine, Gaza, and West Bank, and call for an immediate arms embargo on Israel. The human-made crisis in Gaza has caused a nearly total collapse of infrastructure, including health care. The entire population faces high levels of acute food insecurity, with 1 in 5 people at risk of death by starvation. And this was reported by the United Nations News last week. So thank you again for coming. And our first speaker is Dr. Ahmad Jadallah. He has been an obstetrics gynecological physician and educator in Northeast Ohio for over 30 years. He graduated with honors from Ohio State University College of Medicine. He is a Palestinian American and a member of Doctors Against Genocide and the Akron-Palestinian Solidarity Collective. Last summer, Dr. Jadallah served on a medical mission to Palestine with FAJR Scientific, a nonprofit committed to providing medical assistance to vulnerable populations in crisis, including Palestine and Lebanon. Because of his Palestinian heritage, though, he was prevented from entering Gaza and instead went to the West Bank. Dr. Jadallah has lived in Palestine and visited numerous times. His family members have been disposed and displaced, and also abducted by the Israeli Defense Forces multiple times for decades without due process. Over half of his family, including his in-laws, live in Palestine. He and his wife, who was born and raised in Palestine, have 4 children. And now here is Dr. Ahmad Jadallah.
Thank you, Andrea. Can everybody hear me well?
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Ahmad Jadallah, and I'd like to thank you all for coming out here today in support of our brothers and sisters in Gaza and the whole of Palestine. As healthcare providers, we took an oath that we will apply for the benefit of the sick all measures that are required, and we will prevent the disease wherever we can. We're here because it is our obligation and duty to work to preserve life. We are here to support our brave brothers and sisters on the front lines of healthcare, working in the most dire conditions with limited resources due to the criminal denial of aid entry by Israel. We are here not only to help treat disease and heal the wounds, we're also calling for a cure to disease and prevention of injury. The injury prevention comes in the form of a permanent ceasefire, and the cure for a disease is an end to legal occupation and settlement of Palestine. What we're witnessing in Gaza and the rest of Palestine is a continuation of the decades-long plan for the dispossession and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. We all remember the words of David Ben-Gurion when he said, "The old will die and the young will forget." Well, the young have not forgotten, and the plan has not changed. It has just been accelerated. Now the old and the young are being exterminated and starved to death. A century ago, one could have easily said, "We did not know," or had we known, things would have been done differently. Well, this genocide and continued ethnic cleansing has been live streamed, and the perpetrators had boasted about it on their social media accounts. Israel's leaders and a lot of the public say their intention out loud for the world to hear. They openly call for the continued murder and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian population. And what has our government done in response over the last 20 months? It has allowed the entry of 2,000-pound bombs to indiscriminately kill women and children while simultaneously denying the entry of food, water, and critical supplies. Our government talks about how it wishes to spread freedom and democracy around the world, while at the same time it is the largest funder of occupation, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing of Palestine. They ignore the international humanitarian laws that they helped put in place to prevent such atrocities. They are quick to cry foul when another country breaks the law, but go out of their way to try and cover up Israel's crimes. They ignored the fact that professors of Holocaust history, as well as Holocaust survivors, including the founder of Human Rights Watch, who have stated over a year ago that Israel was engaged in a genocide of the Palestinian people. That was over 1 year ago. More and more witnesses, healthcare providers, and humanitarian organizations are confirming the genocide and giving first-hand accounts of the atrocities they witnessed. They have even testified about sniper bullets to the head and chest of children with pinpoint accuracy. But according to Israel and some of our government officials, they are all lying, and Israel is the only one telling the truth. These are the same officials who lauded and cited these organizations' findings in the war in Ukraine and Syria. These are the same elected officials that lied about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Now we have a death toll of over 62,000 people, mostly women and children, with tens of thousands still missing and presumed dead under the rubble or in mass graves. There are hundreds of thousands more with life-altering injuries, suffering from malnutrition, most of them women and children. Our leaders know about the amputations of children's limbs and cesarean deliveries without anesthesia and the lack of basic medicines and antibiotics. They see the intentional starvation, famine, and spread of disease. They see the complete destruction of the healthcare facilities and infrastructure in Gaza and the arrest, torture, and murder of healthcare providers. They have heard the same vile and criminal rhetoric from Israeli leadership for years as they have made their intentions known. They are continuing the same plan of massacres and displacement of the terror gangs of their ancestors. They cast aside reports from the UN and humanitarian organizations regarding Israel's war crimes. They intentionally silence people within the State Department and U.S. aid by deleting parts of reports or eliminating them altogether. The reports exposing Israel's purposeful denial of food, water, and humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, which is a war crime. Having that information would force them to legally stop military aid. This is not truth and justice for all. This is hypocrisy and complicity. And what about the universities and healthcare institutions? The leaders know there has and continues to be an illegal occupation and oppression of the Palestinian people, as well as ethnic cleansing. They see the complete destruction of healthcare facilities, universities, and infrastructure in Gaza and the West Bank of Palestine, and the arrest and torture and murder of healthcare providers and students. Yet they've said nothing. Instead, they look the other way and tout their partnership with Israel. They state they're collaborating with Israeli institutions to make healthcare advances and save lives. Well, I have an idea for you. I have a way we can save thousands of lives immediately and improve the quality of life for millions of people here and in Palestine. Arms embargo. Ceasefire now. End occupation. End apartheid. Eliminating the funding and isolation will force an end to the oppression and the injustice. The criminal will not change his ways unless there are consequences. Talk without action will just embolden, and now, as we see, it allows for even more violent criminal behavior. They try to silence us and spread lies about our message. They say we're anti-this and anti-that because they want to steer you away from the truth and the facts. The only thing we are anti-apartheid, anti-oppression, anti-starvation, and anti-ethnic cleansing. One of the most anti-Semitic things we're witnessing right now is the genocide of the Semitic people of Palestine. For those of you who do not know the definition of the word Semitic, please look it up. What we're doing here is our civic duty and our right. We demand that instead of sending our tax dollars to oppress the people, that we use that money here to uplift our people. Instead, money is being sent to Israel to promote and maintain the occupation of apartheid. Israelis have free education, free healthcare, and free or subsidized housing. Housing which is made affordable because it's on stolen land. Tens of millions of dollars a day go to Israel. Meanwhile, here we have people without adequate healthcare and housing. There are people here that are homeless because they cannot afford a place to live. Our schools in Cleveland and Akron are making multi-million-dollar budget cuts and eliminating teacher programs. Our infrastructure is aging and being neglected due to lack of funds. Yet we have money to support unjust wars and the murder of innocent civilians. And what about our media? What about their complicity? They help spread the propaganda by only inviting Israeli leaders or politicians who are on the lobby's payroll. And they only do and when they do these interviews, they fail to press them or call out their crimes and lies. When a hospital in Ukraine is destroyed, they call it a war crime. When it's all the hospitals along with the patients inside in Gaza, it's just a side note. When our students speak up and protest war crimes and criminal behavior of Israel, they spin it and condemn it as anti-Semitic and affecting Jewish safety on campus. They purposely fail to mention that it's mainly Jewish students that are leading the protests against the occupation and genocide. They do not talk about the Palestinian students whose safeties and careers have been threatened or ruined by groups funded by Israel and its lobby. They don't mention how every university has been destroyed or the number of students who have been killed in Gaza. Where are their demands for the release of thousands of Palestinians, including women, children, that have been abducted from their beds and held without charges by Israel for years and in some cases decades? Yes, those hostages. When will you demand their release? Why are there no interviews with their devastated families? What about the Palestinian Americans that have been killed by Israel? Where is the investigation and accountability? They accuse our students of being uninformed or have gone as far as to call them ignorant on the subject of Palestine. These are the same students they spent years on educating about the Holocaust, genocide, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing. They are not stupid. They are correlating the history of the crimes of the past with the current crimes against humanity they are witnessing. They were listening. They knew what to look for. And now that they see it, they're being punished and threatened for speaking out. I am here to tell you, don't listen to them as they try to discourage or threaten you. Keep talking. Continue to educate. The word is spreading, and you can hear it from the people around the globe marching in solidarity, not only for a ceasefire, but for a free Palestine. Gaza and the rest of Palestine, we see you. We hear your cries, and we cry with you. We also see your bravery and steadfastness. We also continue to fight for your safety. We'll not stop until Palestine is liberated and you can live in peace and harmony with equal rights from the river to the sea. Of course, we cannot forget to answer the question that people always ask, the question of how it all began. I know it's painful for some to discuss this, but we have to be fair and honest with ourselves. This all began 80 years ago when Zionist terrorist groups like the Haganah, Irgun, Palmach, and Stern Gang conspired to systematically massacre and ethnically cleanse the indigenous Palestinian people from their towns and villages. These terror leaders went on to become prime ministers and generals of the Israeli occupation forces who continued this project. You cannot deny this history. It was in their own words and actions. The same way we cannot deny the words and actions now. Listen to them. They're saying the quiet part out loud. I provided you with quotes from Israeli leaders past and present. Please look at them. The families in Palestine are beautiful people who just want to live life free of occupation in their homeland like the rest of us. Again, I will say this. We Palestinian Americans are a resilient people. The people of Palestine are a resilient people. The people of the United States are a resilient people who stand for justice and freedom. Together we will not be afraid. Together we will stand, and we are going to overcome the moral depravity of people who think that they can achieve political gains to try and stay in power through murder, starvation, dispossession, and ethnic cleansing of the indigenous Palestinian people. I would like to thank those people around me who have spoken out against genocide, the genocide that is occurring. I especially would like to recognize the members of our local Jewish and Christian communities who have been by our side for years condemning and calling for an end to the occupation and injustice in Palestine. There are many more out there who are disgusted by what they see happening in Gaza and the rest of Palestine. Please speak up. What is happening now has nothing to do with Jewish safety. What Israel is doing now is counter to what I know is in your hearts. It is counter to what we believe in, which is you should want for your fellow man what you should want for yourself. You were there during apartheid in South Africa. You were there during the Vietnam War. You were there in the civil rights movement. Please speak up. We need you now more than ever. Thank you very much.